Welcome back to some professional Starcraft 2, the King of Battles $30,000 Grand Finals. And only the most skilled race has made it there. 2 players you should recognize by this point, otherwise this is your very first Starcraft video. Thank you for joining us, like and subscribe. I'm glad you can make it. But first in the top right, the man tearing through almost every player on paper should beat him. Rainer, Cyril, TY, spoilers. It is Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure, the everyman Terran. He focuses on the macro, not so much the micro, but he gets it done. And then, of course, the man who's been playing professional StarCraft since the age of 13 and hasn't really let up since. In fact, he's only gotten... Are you kidding me, Maru? Are you kidding me, Maru? Anyways, it's Maru. And in typical Maru manner, he is proxying 2 racks. So, Maru is... He can get away in much the opposite fashion. Maru is very much a micro player. In fact, before Legacy of the Void, before the last few years, as a young Terran, he would try to micro his way out of situations that could easily be more focused on the macro. And he hasn't stopped. The year he won every GSL finals, 4 in a row, more than half the time, he knew that weak Terrans build in the main. And he's going to start off this King of Battles final with a fighting strat. He's just going to slap a couple barracks right underneath the Reaper cliff, which is explicitly there for Reapers. That's why they have their fancy lights, to make sure they don't fall. And their jetpacks, mostly. But mostly the fancy lights. This is the most Maru way to start a series. And, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends like this. No matter how many games this series goes, I expect at least 3 proxy raxes. I'm not specific as to who. Cure doing a good job defending so far. He pulled the boys off to defend. He has to use the high ground, because obviously he's going to have less barracks units. That's kind of how this works. But it's only a 2 racks, which means there's not an overwhelming amount of Reapers. Not enough to just dive in and go past bunkers. Meanwhile, well, the factory is quicker for Cure, of course, because he had this time to burn. The barracks is here to scout. Maru at this point is kind of showing that he's given up on the whole killing with Reapers immediately idea. He'd rather... The high ground vision is worth much more. Maru still hasn't lost a Reaper. Cure really wants it. You can see it. But so far, 2 SCVs, it's only the blue mineral workers who suffer. When the Reapers and the Marines and these commanders go to war, it is the working class who needs to rise up and seize the memes of production. But no, the production destroyed as the barracks gets a full scout. Wait, okay. I got a little confused as to who units were whose. The perfect beyond level grenades. And then Maru comes in like, now I want to lose my Reapers. So he will. Like, why did you come back? You had it. He had it. Oh my god, the grenades. But I have no idea. Like, Maru had the perfect grenade. Somehow escaped. And then he came back in for another pass, which was completely uncalled for, and lost 2 Reapers. You're good, but you're not that good, Maru. So Cure, actually, I gotta say, if you're a Terran player who's like, well, I would be Masters, but Diamond is filled with cheesy Diamond Terrans, Cure just wrote a textbook for you. That's how you do it. Bunkers, pulling just enough SCVs to ward away the Reapers while being very careful with the micro. Cure, like other Terrans don't SCV scout, especially in TVT very often. it's less than 50% because you're more focused on doing your early game build. I gotta get those extra 20 minerals, okay. But Cure, he SCV scouts. He plays it safe. And that's what allowed him to defend. Cure has lost 1 SCV. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. His command center was a little delayed. Maru has 3 CCs, which he's bought with this map control. But there's your textbook. Go back or support King of Battles on Match Arena. Get those replays. And see how to do it. Because Cure just defended possibly... No, not possibly. Definitely the best proxy Rexer in StarCraft history. I think, if nothing... he might not be the best Terran this moment, though we can make an argument. TY is on the board. Cure is there heckling them, as he does. Maru is definitely, just by quantity and quality, the best proxy Rexer. There's no challenger there. Like, MVP was good in his day, but so was Maru in that same set of days. He was, in fact, like, Maru proxy Rexed almost too much in Wings of Liberty. He didn't really play later game. And that was part of why he wasn't crushing it as reliably. But he's been, for 10 years, a decade of proxy Rexing, I think, has established Maru as the very best proxy player in StarCraft 2. Whereas Cure has been a player in StarCraft 2 for quite a while as well. And continues to be one, to his credit. I'm so sorry, Cure. The Ravens. Everybody loves Ravens. This is CVT. And for this reason. 3 Ravens from Maru. A very technical strat. No. Cure, where are you going? Cure. Whoa. You can't fight that. Are you insane? I have no idea what prompted Cure to do that. Oh, the counter scan? But where did the medevacs go? He's trying to outflank. I have no idea what inspired Cure to actually attack there and go down to the low ground. Maru obviously had the advantage. It was just paying him back for those Reapers earlier, which is not very proportionate. But that went horribly for Cure. He lost a tank, he lost 11 Marines, his Raven energy was wiped out. Maru lost, apparently, only Marines in that fight. Or maybe the Reapers were with it as well, but he didn't lose a tank, he didn't lose a Raven. And that's going to kind of set the pace of the game now. Like, Cure was looking, he was a little contained because Maru had a lot of Ravens, but if Cure plays it careful and he uses his medevacs, he can break out and take a third, but Cure's just YOLO'd it down the ramp, and now he's in an awkward spot where he has to try to sneak around with medevacs to get some damage done. Armory started for Cure. He actually has maybe a couple second advantage on the upgrades. The Clone Wars going Cure's favor, so he's not out of it, but he's just got to look for any edge he can get. Maru with a nice amount of SCVs for now, and continuing to build up. Now that's not a fair fight. Here come the Marines in the escalating gun game style strats. The production, Maru's only on 3 Rex. He's still... Oh. Actually, Maru being on 3 Rex is a big deal. That means Cure with 5 Rex. He's a macro player. I say that with all due respect and subtle insult. He's definitely a macro player. And with that extra production, Maru's supply lead, Cure's just going to build more Marines. It's just math. It's math. And I hate to say it. I hate to bring that up. But if you have more barracks, you build more Marines. That's how it works. Especially with those reactors. Maru's trying to figure out where the army is. Everyone goes very dead Cyclone. Cure snuck around. That SCV serving its purpose. Catches the units. Anti-armor missile! Dorito does everything. That doesn't even have combat shield done. It's about to finish, but not, a little too late for many of those Marines. And Cure snaps them up. 2-2. Cure finding his edge. That was the edge. On top of that, the upgrades. 2-2, a minute faster. Cure playing game one greatly here. He's made a few missteps. The micro, like he's losing a few extra Marines in some of these attacks. But overall, he's got 2 factories to 2. Now 5 barracks to 5. But he's got all this plus the upgrades. And he just snapped up all those Marines. So now he has map control. And Maru has to figure it out from here. Most of the army, all of the army, brought together for Cure at this stage. What will be the next stage of production? Cure adds 3 racks. Okay. I was wondering, is it going to be more starports and go straight to air? Or is it going to be... Is it going to be more barracks production? It's barracks production. $69 SCVs for Cure, which is nice to maintain a solid army supply weight. In fact, I think that's a bit of a mistake from Maru. Yes, at this level, the mistake is building too many SCVs. It's just too many. If you have 20 less army supply, that's 2 medevacs of units that can split off and overwhelm a location you can't defend. Alright, so that's... Oh my god, the total scramble! Interference matrix across the board on the tanks! This entire fight, they're locked down, and then they're knocked out, but Cure hits on the other side. A bloodier battle here, not nearly as clean. Maru just with precision, and with focus, and with purpose, slaughtered those tanks and all the Marines to boot. That's how you do it. Really using those Ravens for everything they're worth. But Cure does find some counter damage. Maru kept the Ravens alive. Like, those Ravens are going to be the game changers. They already have been, but Cure's building way more Marines. Back to math. He's going to need way more Marines for reasons that should be obvious. Whereas Maru is relying on that cost efficiency. Right now, Cure has lost 93 to 71 Marines. I don't think it's going to get much better as time goes on. Maru instead is leaning into the Ravens. The Corvid Reactor with the double starport Raven production. Maru, well, Ravens are quite a force multiplier. At some point, they become the force in and of themselves. Auto turrets are quite good, but they're not a full-fledged fighting force. And they only last so long. Once 3-3 is done, we can think about high-sec auto-tracking, but this is going to be quantity over quality. And it's simplistic. But Marines and tanks versus mass Raven Viking. Maru just isn't going to have nearly as many Marines, and it'll probably be about even on the tanks. Whereas Maru's going to try to leverage these Ravens into, one, not needing as much army supply, and also winning fights decisively. Another armory on the way for Maru, who's smoothly transitioning into the later game. Cure is still solidly maintaining his mid-game composition, but he is adding on starports here. Ooh, quite a choke point. Everyone caught between a rock and a hard place. This is kind of awkward. Oh my god, the scan! I guess he had a sensor tower, so... I can't believe Cure, you're in a sensor tower. Like, Maru was going to see it. Anti-armor missile. Maru marches forward. Here comes some more Marines, but are they lambs to the slaughter, or are they conquering heroes? Mostly slaughter. Mostly slaughter. As Maru wins another fight, the Marines left on the field. Is that a planetary? No, it's an orbital, but this choke point is ridiculous. Three. Oh my god. Calm down. We're simmering down now. Back to the chess boxing. Cure. Just scan him. Keeps walking into siege tanks. That's what the scans are for. Should have a scan more than... Like, we should have a scan from each side before the first scan runs out. There should just be continual scans. That's kind of how it goes. Oh, the Ravens sauntering forward! Snapped up, but the Marines... Anti-armor missile plus siege tanks equals disaster for Marines. No matter what their upgrades are. Losing 3 armor is all the upgrades they paid so much for. I think with a stim it means 1 shot, 1 kill from those siege tanks. Looks like Maru wants to go. He doesn't have that much energy. He just used most of it. But 1 auto turret and a handful of Marines, like, what? Nothing shoots back. Cure is scrambling. I keep going back to the units lost to see it's slipping more and more in Maru's direction. Income, the army supply is still about even, but the army value. So it's 5,052.50 in value. More gas than minerals for Maru, where it's 4,900 2K for Cure, and that kind of describes the relative strength as well. As now finally Maru has made it. It's been a journey, but he's made it to the other side of the map, and he sieged himself up right in between 2 sides of Cure's army. Still a whole lot of Ravens. Scrambles the tanks. Looking for more auto turrets in the front, but scrambles from the back. Here comes Cure. He can fight it out too. The tanks, there's still plenty firing. Maru with many auto turrets in front. Cure made his move. He made his play, but Shakespeare's still going to maintain his position. That play is not nearly enough. And Maru holds his ground and wins game 1. GG. So apparently just build more Ravens. Ravens, on paper, whatever paper Maru's been reading, counter all the good units. Like Ravens counter small amounts of units and large amounts of units. Like, they can counter tanks, but they can also soften up a whole group of Marines. So, is this one of those? Are we seeing the eventual endgame of Terran versus Terran going into the future? Because we've kind of seen it before, but that was... Like, Maru didn't max out, trade for like 10 minutes, and then go Ravens. No, Maru started with Ravens, and then he ended with more Ravens. That's how that game went. Like, he never stopped building Ravens. Reminds me of the bad old days of Wings of Liberty, back when an auto turret would last like 3 minutes, at which point it's like, why not just have it last indefinitely? Or point defense drone negating things for also like 3 minutes. Like, who was it? And then Seeker Missile also able... At least now you need other units. When Seeker Missile was doing that kind of damage, at some point you could kind of just build Ravens. In that, I think Ravens are a lot more interesting than they were then. Like, you do need other units. You're not going to win the game with Ravens on their own. Maru says, hold my Corvid reactor. It's like, no, that doesn't sound safe. Maru's never one for safe, but... It's a lot more temporary. Like, deciding when and where to use that energy is much more than the Ravens of old, which were, get as many as possible, and you'll never run out of energy. Is there a point where we're going to see the ghosts to EMP the Ravens? We've seen it. I've seen it before. I think it was Maru doing it. What am I watching? Okay. The workers rise up, but against one another. The orbital command class making the workers fight one another and thinking it'll help them. Oh! The battle continues, but a Reaper comes out. We don't like your kind around here. You are red and we're blue, and we don't like you. And so it will continue. I was getting back to the Ravens, though. As, there's a whole lot more tactical decision-making. And it's relatively hard. The Ravens need to borrow some of the High Templar's water balloons. Like, the High Templar have less DPS than a probe. But their attack allows them to, like, for some reason, just the High Templar. No other unit has gotten that, which is a little odd. I wouldn't, like, if there was to be anything, I would say Vipers, and I guess air units not having it is fine. But then what? Ghosts already have an attack. I'm on a tangent here. We're just looking for a sign. But back to it. Ravens, much more tactical. Less, I'm going to sit here and build Ravens. More like, how am I going to use my Ravens? And Maru exemplifying that in Game 1. And now let's talk about, I don't know, what do we do now? We talk about the map? Alright, Death Aura. One of the first maps to use the WLAs, the speed zones in the center. Which make for some interesting engagements, but they're not in, usually battles are fought around the edges, fought near the bases. The center just allows you to go from one side of the map to the other a little more quickly, as rocks block the sides. It's essentially a mirror match right now. A little bit of a difference in openers to start, but we have Cyclone. Cyclone just better early game, especially if you don't know what's coming out of the starport. Gives you a lot more options. A Raven for Maru. And a Banshee for Cure, but he's not upgrading Cloak. So this kind of implies it's just going to be a single, like, solitary, alone Banshee. Possibly to inspire an over-defensive posture out of Maru. Maybe just thinking that the Banshee can get some damage done. Because usually you build a Raven, you send it out. To do essentially the same thing a Banshee would do. Well, that Reaper, very dead. It saw there was a Cyclone, which means he's learned very little. Third command center. The Banshee sent out. Well, will the first Raven be sent? How careful does Maru play? Because Cure, that first game, Cure looked... Oh, this is very unfortunate. I mean, the Banshee killed the Reaper, but the Reaper won that battle. Because knowing is half the battle, and we're rounding up. The threat of the Banshee, though, will likely keep the Ravens at home. At least for a time. Suspecting Cloak and more Banshees. Delaying the third command center. Cure's making his third CC in the main as well. His now a little quicker. They were almost dead even up until that moment. Wow, Maru going full macro. Cure not to be outdone. We're back to a truly mirror matchup. This is going to be much more of a chess boxing match. A whole significant build-up, some trash talk from Banshees and Reapers. And then eventually they start punching each other in the face. That ends pretty quickly. We'll go back to our corners, and we'll repeat until somebody's dead on the floor. We will see. Sometimes that's 1 round, sometimes that's 20. But until 1-1, Stim, Productions Online, like, they just don't have the ability. They don't even have their gloves on yet. As this is about as macro and standard as it gets. 3 CCs, Ravens for basic defense from Maru, going for air control. Neither side's going to have the units for probably at least until 8 minutes to be comfortable moving out. Wow, that Viking micro, incredibly subtle, but also perfectly effective. Vikings are one of the most microable units. It has an attack point that is significantly before the completion of its animation, which is a fancy way to say it takes a long time looking at itself shooting, and you can actually move it right after it shoots. It's like, oh, look at those cool missiles. Okay, alright. What are we doing now? It takes so long. Banshees are also a unit like that as well. But you can micro out of that animation into actually attacking again. And now, armories. I'll just read one production tab, just assume it's both. 4th Command Center, Armory, Stim finished, combat shields on the way. Has this been spotted? So, double drop. Oh! Scan! 2-2 started. Second factory. Maru didn't actually start his +2 armor, which is becoming a little bit of an issue. Maru! Maru! I don't think he appreciates being called like that. That could be a significant advantage in a game that has had next to nothing in way of advantages. Cure has a little bit more supply. Yeah, he's not building it. It's starting to become significant. Like 30 seconds now, and counting. He probably just didn't have the gas at the time and hasn't remembered it since. I don't know if he noticed. Now that we're getting close to that max out, the no rush 10 minutes, technically they're still maintaining the non-aggression pact. There's just small border skirmishes here at the edge of the sensor tower, but as we reach the 10-minute mark and a max out, they're going to have no choice but to fight. Kira's like, it's not 10 minutes! That's illegal! I'm not touching you! I'm not... I'm not killing you! But with 20 seconds left on the no rush 10 minutes, we're looking towards a battle. Any moment, who will get the jump? And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All bets are off! Fight! And one medevac, very unhappy about its orders, will be gunned out of the sky in the first decisive victory of this game. We're maxed out, 10 minutes, 2-2, except for Maru, who forgot his +2 armor. And here we go! Another medevac. And a third. Okay, Maru, what are you doing? This was kind of a disaster for Maru. Corvid reactor for both sides, as it feels like we're just, like, we're gonna... This is a memorial service for a normal mid-game, and we're gonna quickly move on to the later game after it, if anyone's able to get a decisive victory. Cure's moving up the ramp. Anti-armor missile will drive him back down. Remember when we made Marines and tanks and then hundreds of Marines died and no one had a decisive advantage? Yeah, it's happening again. But both sides now. Cure has learned from the best, and the best is on the other side of the map. Double Raven for both sides. We've had our flirtation with the Marine tank battles, but we're going straight to the air control. And so the mid-game ends, almost as quickly as it started. We've budgeted 1 minute of mid-game into this match. But we couldn't squeeze any more. Here comes Cure. Through the speed zones. Some scans. The counter scans. Corvid reactor within half a second Oh my god! Maru wins the race by half a second. New personal best on Corvid Reactor. You're so close. Can we get those speedrun splits on the screen, Jimmy? What do you mean? Okay. Okay, interference matrices. Cure just kind of drives in here. Maru caught kind of flat-footed. Cure just goes. And he drives out a wedge that could potentially slice out the 5th. A few more command centers. This is the command center town center. There's a joke there. But you know it's a joke attacking into planetaries. Or is it? The planetary goes down. Interference matrix. Cure gets a decisive victory. Maru. Oh, Cure has 3-3 on the way. Maru! Get your armor! Okay, thank you. At least he can hear. Not that Marines are becoming increasingly less relevant as time goes on. Though they're still kind of an important part. You need the foot soldiers to take advantage of the space that can be created by the Vikings and the Ravens and the Ravens and the Vikings, and now whose Ravens are they anyways? They really need to fix that animation, but Maru scrambles the tanks and wins the battle, chews up dozens of Marines and several tanks, and holds his ground with great authority. Though during this, Cure kind of took the map. He's got not just a 5th base, but also a 6th. That's a planetary done. The sensor tower gives it away. Maru's going to be heading that way. 3-3 and +2 vehicle weapons on the ground. So Cure has gone just for the +1 vehicle armor, which affects air. But +2 mech weapons means that tanks will kill the tanks of your opponent with 1 less hit, even with the armor. Though Cure's not really making that many tanks. Anti-armor missile. It really shouldn't turn them orange. I don't know, maybe make them, like, a color that no one is usually using in a game. Like, chartreuse, which is actually also orange. So I could have picked anything else, I just had that color on my mind. Anyways, interference matrices, anti-armor missiles, blood, death, siege tanks, and even worse, Ravens. It looks like Cure's winning this by a large margin. Chartreuse is not a shade of green. Oh my god! I refuse. So yeah, chartreuse is actually probably good. It's better than orange, or like totally not red-orange. But it looks like right now Cure has Morange Ravens, which might be enough to win the day. Anti-armor missiles on both sides. He drives into the 3rd. Maru plummeting in supply. Cure took his strat and he turned it all the way around. The upgrade disadvantage. The decisive plays. Cure. Like, I love Cure. Cure shows how to learn. Cure took pretty much what Maru did in the last game, and he just turned it on him. He did the same thing, but he just did it better. And Maru lost. Like, it's all tied up 1-1. Maru was winning some good fights, but Cure had the better game plan all along. He maintained map control. He stayed on the Marine tank army a little bit longer. Only a little bit. But that allowed him to get the same unit composition and map control. On top of the fact, Maru needs to not forget his infantry armor upgrades, which I don't think was a decisive factor, but it didn't help. So, now we got a series. We're going into Game 3. All tied up, best of 7, of course. So, does Maru go back to the classics? Take your bets. You know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, it's Proxy Man with the proxy plans. He's not proxying. But, that was what I was implying. I don't think if you're Maru, I don't think we'll see a game like that again. That was both players kind of doing the macro build, which, with barely any deviation, that means sitting back until like 8, 9, even 10 minutes and getting everything you need to fight the game. You got 3 CCs, you got double upgrades. If only one player does it, it doesn't work. But if both players just kind of happen to, or agree, I guess, to do it, then it's essentially no rush 10 minutes. And we saw that there. I don't think Maru's going to let it come to that. Like, if I'm Maru, I might not be proxy rexing, but I'm going to do some sort of early pressure where I can try to out-control and get an advantage. Because Kira's biggest strength is the decision-making. Like, knowing when and where to attack. The only reason it sometimes struggles is the micro and the execution. Except for those times when he just kind of throws the game by doing a ridiculous attack that was never going to work. SCV, you're locked in. You're not getting out. Alright? But, like, 70% of the time, his decision-making is good every time. Factory's on the way. It's 2 gas for both sides. Now the details are very significant. Who's still mining gas? 2 and 1 in gas. Against 2 and 2 in gas. Okay, so neither player maintaining 3, which would indicate a big 1 base play. Command center's on the way. Hellion. Maru's gone for a quicker reactor, whereas Kira's going to invest in a 3rd Reaper. When do the add-ons start? Well, I mean, there's already a reactor for Maru, but do we make a tech lab immediately after? So, Pillars of Gold. Back to the map. Pillars of Gold has a ramp leading to the natural. A map with a ramp leading to the natural is just inherently more defensible than a map that's on an even footing with, like, Death Aura. So, you can, essentially that means you can defend with less units as long as they're well placed. So Maru kind of cutting a couple corners, getting a couple less units early. Are they... I mean, I'm sure these guys play each other all the time. I know they have. In major tournaments and, of course, on the ladder. And right now, we're kind of heading towards a similar build. The question... Oh, wait, no. I take it all back. Maru's making a medevac. So Maru's going to put himself out there. As I think is his best call. He's going to go try to use that medevac as sort of a much higher effort ore prism. And find an advantage via the medevac micro. Against Cure, who's just going for a Raven, he's getting a Cyclone. That's a defensive posture. So, will Maru find the damage he needs? Or will this end up backfiring? Because it is a risk. If he just loses the medevac with all hands and little damage, then Cure's just ahead. But here we go. Where's that? Oh, the Cyclone was on the low ground. The Widowmine will burrow. A threat. He unburrows. Force some more micro out. There's another Reaper in here, but it's targeted down is the Widowmine. The Cyclone going to want to lock on. It has the cooldown. Does he have a scan? No. He is not able to kill the medevac. Maru killed 2 SCVs, but on seeing that the starport unit choice is a medevac, Cure can kind of just now... Oh, I can send my Raven out. There's no reason Cure can't attack. Because what you want to do is account for starport time. The starport time, the most valuable resource in these early game builds. And if he built a medevac, then he didn't build a Raven. He has a Raven now with less energy, of course. The lock-ons, neither side targeting manually. I still feel pro players don't turn off autocast on the lock-on enough. Like, being able to target your opponent's key units instead of accidentally hitting a Marine seems like kind of important, but almost no one does it. Like, he kills a Reaper, but the Cyclone is more important. Just wasted one of the lock-ons. Just keeping each other at arm's length here. Neither side willing to commit their key units. It looks like at the end of the day, Cure will back off, and Maru will be able to finish his third command center at a significant advantage. He built his third, yeah, on the low ground, but almost a full command center quicker. This Raven's going to have to find some damage in the main there, slapping out an auto turret, expecting Maru to move away. He does, but he loses a lot of mining time and 2 SCVs. Maru swinging back across the map for another round of attack. Auto turret back again. Units trickling into it. More scans, spotting the units out. Maru just waiting for Cure to make a mistake, and so far, he's doing well for himself. He has not slipped. He has not missed a step in repositioning. The scan confirms the situation. He's got a Marine out there as well. Raven slaps another auto turret in to delay the production. A pretty cool auto turret choice there. And the Raven, it started out kind of mediocre, but it's stacking up the damage now. And he gets out when he's out of energy and is at risk of dying. Maru still ahead on workers. That's the benefit of getting a command center a minute quicker. But the Raven has delayed production. It's killed SCVs. It's delayed mining time. And that means Cure's been able to maintain. Of course, we have to acknowledge the mule peaks here. Whichever side drops more mules than the other at that time will probably have the income swinging towards them. Which is why you can't just be scanning constantly at this stage, though you may want to. Maru looks for an opportunity. That's 3 Ravens with a lot of energy against just 1 with energy. 4 tanks, but the Viking lead goes to Cure. Maru not to be deterred. Gets a lock-on, looks for a Viking. Will there be the scrambles that are needed? The high ground vision. Huge hits from Cure, but the auto turret swarm. The Vikings doing a lot. The auto turret's actually grinding through most of the tanks that Maru maintained. Cure's down to 2 tanks, and Maru still has 3. 2 Ravens left alive to 0, but the medevac is killed. And now Maru, while I think he actually got the better end of that exchange, he killed 2 Ravens, he killed several tanks, especially since he was the aggressor. Being the aggressor and getting out with those key units, that's a better trade for Maru. But it wasn't clean. He lost a lot himself. That leaves Cure with less Ravens, and we've seen how seen how valuable. English. Who art thou? Seen how valuable those Ravens have been throughout this series, and I'm sure we'll continue to. That's essentially the pry bar into an opponent's base. Whether it's auto turrets, interference matrix, or anti-armor, whatever you need to try to break open that defense, the Ravens seem to cover it. Here comes Cure, obviously inspired by Maru's moves, but he does have air control, looking for the drop into the main as well, using whatever angle he can find. And Maru's going to have to scramble to defend. With more Marines and more Vikings, he has more mobility. And Maru now straight up losing barracks. Reinforcements coming in. Most of the units of Maru came back towards the main, which is the greater and more imminent threat. Cure dips out. Reallocates his units towards the natural. He might find an opportunity to drop on the siege tanks. Cure just holding his ground. and he has the upgrades on the way. I think Cure setting himself up for a better mid to late game. This is much more... Oh my god, how deep in the paint are you going to go? That's a 5-second violation. Are you allowed to do... You're not allowed to do that. Marines being drawn in. Maru looks like he's going for the crush. He's isolated this group of units, of which he's holding them at bay. Does Maru go for the attack and crushing this small army before Cure can reinforce? Or does he go for the reinforcements? Cure's looking to bring up a couple more tanks and 2 medevacs, at least, of Marines. The Vikings doing a great job zoning for now. Maru trying to cut this off. The tactics, the positioning, the chess is here. When will the time for boxing continue? Oh, but anti-armor missile 2 tanks is not enough! Easily snapped up. Maru cuts off the legs of the reinforcements and leaves only the things with the legs here. Oh, here comes the drop to reinforce. Cure tries to jump him while the units aren't here, but it's too little, and it's too late. He's still anti-armor missile. He tried to drive forward. He killed 10 SCVs, and I don't think Cure's actually going to be too unhappy with that if he noticed the SCV kills. That didn't go great, but it could have gone worse. A split and stim from Maru looking to finish this off. Crush whatever units are left. Vikings? Cure lost the Vikings, didn't he? Oh, no. I think that's going to be a defining factor. Cure was doing a great job with air control. The only reason that was such a pain for Maru was the air control. But eventually Cure bled out enough Vikings, and he's down. He lost 6 Vikings in this game. So he no longer has that air control. It's challenged at the best. Maru's building Vikings as well. 2-2 is now done for Cure. It's not yet done for Maru, but if he sees an opportunity, of course he's going to take it. 2-2 now finishing up, drawing things even. Cure has taken a 4th, but so has Maru. The mirror match continues, but this game, much more mid-game than the last one. We did not skip the mid-game. We're well entrenched in it right now. And there's no sign, with these armies continually moving around the map, of getting out of it anytime soon. The tanks siege up later for Cure. Maru with a great concave easily isolates and kills the tanks. Cure has lost 10 tanks to Maru's 1. That is an unacceptable ratio. That is not how you win in TVT. You cannot be losing tanks at a 10-to-1 ratio. This isn't Stalingrad. More Marines moving forward. Gonna try to get... He gets a good angle. He actually gets behind the tank line. And suddenly Maru, the strength of this attack, the overwhelming superiority of his Terran tanks is well, Maru says, no, I don't care. Just drives right back and kills all the tanks of Cure. The tank count is still 8-3. And Marines will spill blood on all parts of the map. Tanks will crumble. Here comes Cure. He's got a couple tanks. He gets behind Maru's 3rd because there was a rock in the way. But now who's flanking who? There's 1 tank left. Maru just kills it. More tanks firing. I don't even know from where. It looked like a tank got a shot off. Maybe it was on the low ground. I don't know. But now Maru has 25 more supply when the smoke clears. Cure's building as many tanks as he can, but he's lost a critical number. It's 10-3, but now there are tanks with the high ground. They're everywhere. The concave, incredible for Cure, but he doesn't have the 3-3 advantage yet. He will for 1 minute. He has to take advantage of it. That is the... Well, oh my god. Maru's Vikings sniped 3 medevacs. Maru's doing so good with his positioning. Cure's able to find a few good angles, but overall Maru's taken those small advantages and widening them into a lead. +2 mech weapons is done. Now for Cure. Everything he can do to be more efficient, but the Vikings, that's not enough tanks. Maru's so decisive. He splits, he stims, he wins. He doesn't care about the upgrades. He just cares about finding his opportunities. If he knows he can win a fight, that is the difference. Cure, he thinks he can win a fight. Maru knows he can win a fight. And that is on display right now. Vikings driving forward. The boys must be pulled. A desperation move, but it could turn the tides. So many tanks for Maru. He finishes his upgrades. He's up 60 supply. And with that, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no Ravens to save the day. There's no air control. Cure has given that up. He's bled out too many tanks and far too many Marines. Maru just finds checkmate. At some point, you can't afford to give up any more ground. And every tank you lose without trading one for your opponent is ground lost. Maru up 2-1. Cure is... this is looking like the series you'd expect to see. It's looking like Maru, the more decisive and better mechanical player. We will see. The game that Cure won was no rush 10-minute into Cure doing Maru's strat. So far, Maru's strategies have a 100% win rate in this series. And yes, I'm giving Maru credit for the Ravens because he did it in Game 1. No proxy raxes this time. That was a great game, but it really did show, I think. And I thought that was a profound line, so I'm going to repeat it. Cure thinks he can win a fight. Maru knows he can win a fight. And that's the difference sometimes, especially in TVT, when the outcome of a fight depends on half a second. The fight might take a lot longer, but the first half second, when you're splitting your Marines and you're casting your Raven spells and you're positioning your tanks, that smaller forces can easily overcome larger ones with good management. It's one of the most dynamic mirror unit compositions. Like, there's not very much Roach Ravager micro you can do to counter Roach Ravager. There's not too much Immortal Archon charge lot you can manipulate to beat larger amounts of Immortal Archon charge lot. But Marines and tanks are both very strong in specific scenarios. Like, Marines can counter tanks, but tanks can also very much counter Marines. It is not set in stone with whoever has more necessarily winning. And that's why I think, well, it depends. It depends on what you're into. If you're looking for a fun night out that you probably won't remember because your brain just shut down both from the alcohol and also from the trauma, that's PvP. If you're looking to get stabbed in a phone booth, but also, like, and make sure it's over quickly, you got your ZVZ. But if you want your gentleman's chess boxing match, which may leave you with a concussion, but also the feeling of superiority over the other races, well, then you got TBT. 2-1 Maru. It looks like we're kind of going back to the macro builds. Reactor is a lot quicker for Maru. Maru is doing the same build as last game. I think so is Cure. Cure doesn't build his reactor on his racks as quickly, whereas Maru gets that up and running. The risk with building the reactor more quickly is that your opponent just builds more Reapers out of their barracks and overwhelms you. This map doesn't have that ramp at the natural. Otherwise, this tech lab is not for the barracks. Okay. You don't have your 5 Terran Stim Commandos like this is Silver League. It might actually be cloaked this time, though he's not adding more gas, so maybe not. Well, that would mix it up, but I bet Maru, believe it or not. You know what? I bet Maru's gonna make a Raven. Okay. Oh, wow. Pay up. I had great odds on that one. He might make more than one Raven. You know what? I'm willing to bet dozens of Jimmy coins right now that he's gonna make a second Raven after that. I know. I'm not a betting man. There's a reason I don't play Hearthstone. But I bet it could be a second Raven. We'll see. Not the only reason I don't play Hearthstone. Oh, Cure making a Raven. Wild. So this is gonna look a lot closer to the Death Aura game, which Cure won, by the way, lest we forget. The next to no rush 10-minute besides some small skirmishes. If Maru makes a third CC, well, buckle up. Now is a good time. I promise you, you can go get your pizza rolls. Maybe put them back in for like 20 seconds. And you'll have time before there's a real fight to get those. Maybe get some paper towels, get your hands all greasy. I like to eat them with chopsticks because I'm cultured. So that way you don't get your hands all greasy. Because stabbing them, you're gonna lose all the. You're gonna lose some of the cheese. And this series needs the cheese. We've only had that one game, so. But yeah, you got a couple minutes, and then we'll fight. Because now, we're just building our pieces that we're going to position around the map. Ravens building third command center. Three Rex. Where are NG bays? NG bays, Maru! Oh wait, they're over here. No, those aren't NG bays. There they are. Cure! NG bays! Cure. Come on. 3, 2, Cure. Oh, he's chasing a... You gonna let that distract you? Anyways, Cure. Come on. We're all waiting! The class is waiting. Meanwhile, Maru's... Oh, those people who want to give pizza rolls made a big mistake. Maru's actually just gonna attack. Is that illegal? I think that's illegal. Does that work? He's just target firing the tanks. Meanwhile, this Banshee's very angry at the depot. So Maru just showed up with 3 Ravens and dunked himself down on Cure's lawn. And it worked. Cure did not target fire tanks with tanks. Once again, Maru being way more effective with his tanks. I'm surprised Cure lost that fight that poorly. Yeah, Maru knows when he can win. The thing is, I would have said Maru, like, maybe simmer down a bit. But, well, is he going to lose the orbital? Like, you don't want to lift it, because you're still kind of mining from it. That tank is not in range of the other tank. Well, this is super awkward. And now Maru just backs off. Okay, calm down. The scans on both sides. So Maru didn't start as 1-1 immediately when the NG base finished, which means he doesn't have as big of an advantage as he could. Cure. Now everybody go back. Get your upgrades. This wasn't in the script. That fight was not supposed to happen. But Maru's now ahead. 13 SCVs. That's what happens when your opponent loses SCVs and is forced to lift their third. I like how Maru just showed up. I don't know how he got that far across the map without Cure realizing. But, oh god. Oh, buckle up. Wow. Hopefully they didn't spend too long on the pizza rolls, because this is getting real dramatic. It's a full-on base trade, but Maru starts the base trade quicker with more units. I was so wrong about this game. The orbital's just dead. Interference matrix. There's not much defense. Both sides are going to lose their natural. Cure gonna lose his third as well. Cure going for the main, though. The heart of the Terran. The juicy, creamy, surprisingly warm center that burns your tongue of the Terran. Vikings on the deck, really good against SCVs. Maru goes for the economy, whereas Cure's just going for the win right now. I think Cure going, like, Maru's coming home. But what? There's no home to come back to. Can he actually salvage this? He has a lot of energy on those Ravens. He needs to interference matrix or just throw down the auto turrets, I guess. He's going to try to fight it. And the auto turrets aren't enough. The Marines are a little delayed. But Maru has so much stuff here. He lost 57 SCVs. And here comes Cure. No, here everyone's here. But Maru drops the tanks. And Cure just picks up because, yeah, obviously. But what are you going to do in the main? This is a mess out here. Oh. Cure's just sending it now. Maru scrambled back. I guess Cure had enough to defend, so Maru decided to just clean it up at home. And obviously this didn't go great. Somehow this medevac lives, and then Cure angles it back, probably with the Selectal Army hotkey. That was a very dicey pathing. A medevac with 8 Marines can definitely turn the tides right now. Maru's economy is gutted. He lost so many. He lost 60 SCVs this game, most of them in that 1 minute. But Cure, well, everybody calm down. One by one, single file. We will take 24 of you. Yes, 24 is efficient, not 16. I know it turns red after 16, but you can go up to 24. The rest of you long distance mining. That's actually more efficient. But as a breakthrough moment, you can go up to 24 and be more efficient than long distance mining. It's just not as efficient as the first 16. Stop moving every single SCV after 16, or every single probe. Stop it, my Platinum League friends. You have bigger priorities, like building more than 24 SCVs. Somehow the supplies are even. I think partially because Cure didn't have any income for a while. And he doesn't have that much production. Maru's going, what a game! So, every bit of me saying get your pizza rolls was wrong. I do apologize. Hopefully you are enjoying them. But now they just beat each other in the face. And also some body blows. But at the end of the day, Cure maintained a lot of SCVs, but with a smaller army, he's going to struggle to maintain them. Maru's back at even SCVs. He's got better upgrades. Somehow the armory died. I don't know where it was. Maru still has 3 command centers as well, which is huge. Like, the upgrades plus having 5 Vikings and more tanks. Maru... Oh. Maru has recovered. He's bounced back. Whereas Cure is still breathing heavily. Which is kind of a weird thing to say, but he's winded. There you go. That's a fancier way to say it. And more dramatic. There just isn't that much for Cure to work with here. Once 2-2 is done, he's going to be at a decisive disadvantage, which means this is a good time, if any, to fight. Now is good. Cure on the march. The tanks are back at home. Cure, I'm sure he's going to be looking for that 2-2. He's going to be a little surprised to see it that quick, I think, but... Anti-armor missile, both sides, fully coated. Ooh. Makes siege tanks a real danger. Cure scans back. The tanks move back. Maru on the chase. 3-3 starts for Maru. We're going back to kind of a normal-looking game now, which is super awkward. I feel like both players smoothly transitioned in and out of base trade mode, which is quite impressive. Maru did it better, as he does most things. But the ability to just, like, go back to a more standard game, okay, Maru did it way better. That's a huge loss for Cure. He lost all of his tanks. You're like, what about that one tank? That one's just there to be sad. Like, it's now 8 tanks to 2. That is, you can't afford those losses. Make that 1. Maru has the decisive unit composition, the supply, the upgrades. He's bounced back and exceeded Cure's economy. Anti-armor missile might be good, but those tanks are not at threat of dying right now. Scrambles a tank. Maru slowly but very surely moving forward. He's closing in on victory and on match point. The boys are pulled. The anti-armor missile runs out at the worst possible time. Cure brings everything! But it's not nearly enough. Maru, match point. 3-1. Decisive match. Just winning. When he picks a fight, he wins it. I don't know. I don't know how Cure makes his way out of that. A crazy base trade. I thought Cure made the right call by going in for the production. That's usually kind of your checkmate move, right? But then Maru came back, which I thought was wrong. So, like, everything I said that game was wrong. I admit it. As Maru decided he didn't want to just play the no-rush 10 minutes, he just wanted to win fights. And even if he's at a technical disadvantage, he's going to win those fights. So, but Jimmy says we're on match point. It's time for a quick advertisement. We got to shout out our sponsors, but we'll get back to the action. If you can pause the ad block, that'd be awesome. Thank you for watching, and we'll be right back. Hello everyone, I'm Winter, and I'm here to tell you that King of Battles is brought to you by Team Alpha X SC2. Check them out, they've got some of your favorite players, and also maybe some of your favorite tournaments now. Alpha X SC2 on Twitter. You can check their Matcherino pages from there. Find all that information. No, you don't have to have a Twitter account if you're a sane person, but you can find any information on this and much more. So support Team Alpha X and say, I like these tournaments, I like the format, and I like this video by smashing that like button. And maybe, to be so generous, if you haven't already, subscribe. Tell 4 friends. You're like, I don't have friends, I play Starcraft. Well, why are you on my channel? So don't lie to me. You have friends. You just don't know it. Reach out. Get them to subscribe as well. But you can also subscribe with Twitch Prime. I mean, Prime Gaming. It's Twitch Prime. Every single month for free, you can subscribe to a streamer of your choice for free. And every moment you don't subscribe, it's like losing money for me. So, subscribe with Prime Gaming. Subscribe on YouTube. Make sure your corporate overlords get all the data they need to know that you want to watch more of these great games brought to you by Team Alpha X's King of Battles tournament. All these great players and even Terrans making it through towards the finals. Thank you for watching. Good luck and good night. I know ads are loud and annoying, but thank you guys for sticking around. We're back to potentially the final match of the King of Battles. $30,000. Of course, they don't give it all to the winner, but a significant amount, because while we may have even means of production, somebody has to win. And right now, Maru is looking like the shoo-in. The breaker of brackets, Cure, marching over some of the best players in the world GSL World WCS champions to make it here to another of the best. But this time he's truly looking like the best of the rest. As Cure is he's getting outclassed. He's playing this series exactly how you expect a series to look, with Maru versus most people. There's no upsets here except for maybe for Cure. Maru is winning every game that he's able to pick fights on his terms. SCV. Oh, high five. Maru's like, don't touch me with that. Cure's like, but bro, I thought we were friends. Not today. A Reaper, a Factory. We're going for the early tech plays, it seems, across the board. And once again, the SCVs. Will he high five on the way back? No. Cold. And without collision. They turn their backs on one another to hide the double pistols the Reapers hold. This is the first game that both SCVs have escaped from the bases of their opponents. What does it mean? Very little. It looks like Cure is using Maru's build this time. Well, he added in the Widowmine instead of a Hellion first. A little cheeky there. Without the Hellion, if the Widowmine is somehow avoided, then of course Hellion Reaper will win a fight. But neither player going to risk it this early. I'm willing to bet, yes, once again, that Maru's going to make a Raven. I feel confident. I know, it sounds crazy. But, wait, actually this game. He's getting a third gas. He's getting a Raven. Who would have thought? Wonder if Cure will keep going for this Banshee play. Which hasn't really panned out thus far. No. Cure's learned his lesson, I think. No more of the casual Banshee that does very little. Come on, Maru! Give us another Raven! There it is.
Pudo quedar tranquilo y nació al día siguiente. Mira el centro, clave, gol.
Okay, so that happened with the Reapers. Third command center. It looks like... Well, here's the key. Here's the key. Maru keeps building multiple Ravens. Cure keeps building like one Raven. And Maru keeps winning. I'm not saying that causation equals correlation, but that is exactly what I'm saying. The Ravens are definitely the decisive factor in most of these attacks. Like, the Ravens last game to open up the assault on the third, and then also to deal, like perpetuate and win the base trade. The Ravens are definitely the defining factor, and Cure keeps building one, and Maru keeps building more. I don't know, like, is Cure gonna build... Oh, he's going for just the mass marine play. That's obviously what he's more comfortable with. But... he spotted the mine. These maps are so clean, this new map pool. Like, many of the maps have such a large, just relatively bright colored area, which actually is a tactical advantage against Widow Mines that stand out with the indentation. You can't out-micro it! What was Cure doing? I don't... Yeah, if I dodge the flames, he can't turn his flames quick. Maybe he was trying to make it so the Hellion couldn't micro away, but... Maru's engineering base, a little bit slower here, because of the Ravens. Partially. The production for Cure, up significantly quicker. He's going to have the upgrade significantly quicker. This scan doesn't really tell Maru anything, which is good for Cure. This Marine is supposed to scout the third, and Maru kind of just lets him do that. Not that it's going to be a huge surprise. Yeah, he already scouted. Move along. So. Cure going to go for a double drop. Not a bad move. When your opponent is low on units, but big on... Like when they're relying on a small amount of units to do a large amount of work, then things like medevacs can be effective, because there's just not the ability to defend perfectly in every area. You're relying on the Cyclone. That was pretty beautiful right there. Drawing the Cyclone out of position before the double drop comes in. Unfortunately, Maru makes a sensor tower at that exact timing, because Maru is a perfect human being who never ever makes mistakes, and Cure is not. Like, it just feels like Maru's getting better as the series goes on, and Cure isn't getting worse, but he's staying the same. Like, he's still playing well, he's just not playing well enough. An attack from Cure he's thinking about moving out. He has a solid army supply. 1-1 isn't yet done for Maru, but I think it will be done by the time a real fight happens. Finally, the double drop was scouted. Combat shields is going to be significantly quicker for Cure. Not that Maru's significant... Oh, stop saying that word. I can't stop hearing it now. Not that Maru is reliant on Marines for defense. He has the Ravens and the tanks and a good posture. And I doubt that Cure's ever going to find a way to break them. 1-1 now done. That's awkward. Oh my god, he gets away! The reaction time to an army that's just, like, kind of out there. Wow. You could have just killed it. Tanks outrange it. Unsieged. No, that Marine must die to save 1 second. Sure. Okay. Two quicker for Cure. He's got his 5 racks production. And he's adding another factory. He's going to just pure Marine here. He switched out the barracks with the tech lab for the factory. Which makes sense. 4th command center on the low ground being built for Cure and being floated over for Maru. So this map has mineral walls. These are 10 mineral walls, so 2 trips on SCVs. Also here, at kind of an awkward position near a... Like, the rush distance is quite small. You kind of go across the street and you're at your opponent's 4th base. Those minerals not chosen to be mined out. He just goes through the rocks instead. What a brute. I think the scans just missed this army barely. Drop mules and mine through! A mule, in case you're wondering, of course, will mine one of those patches in a single trip. So if you see mules drop, they might not only be for BM. Two done for Cure. +1 mech weapon. So upgrades just a little quicker across the board. Maru hasn't been able to pick a decisive fight yet. And oh my god, the sensor towers are just... What does it mean, Jimmy? Show enhance. No, not like that. What are you doing? Ah, unenhance. God. Not there. Here. Ah, what is going on? They can see everything. So it's getting a little ridiculous. That does kind of demonstrate a sensor tower covers like 25% of the land area of the entire map. All right, it's now time for the chess, which leads into the boxing. The board is set. The pieces are created. Both players are Cure's making 5 command centers. Calm down, bro. Well, there's also going to be an extra dimension involved, but... Oh no, the pathing. Caught with the battle on the boardwalk. Maru loses a tank or 2. Nope, I lied. Wait, no I didn't. Yes, I did. Maru has his tank significantly discouraged from straying that direction again. Meanwhile, this happened. I don't know what happened to that Marine. He might have won a duel with another Marine. But a command center canceled to 1 Marine. What a hero. The big Gabe here. Oh, come on. Are we... Oh, God. The TPM is exploding. The CCPM is exploding. I guess... Really? This is the map we're doing this on, guys? The smallest... Like, the map... We're gonna draw the lines in the sand on Romanticide? It's like, well, my 5th base is like 4 feet away from his 5th base, so obviously. We're going to the late game, but there's still plenty of Marines and tanks. Like, either there's going to be one big decisive battle, or they're going to slowly be whittled down and replaced with, let's be honest, better units. I don't think they'll ever completely go away, but eventually the Marines and tanks are traded for Vikings and Liberators, and maybe battle cruisers, and of course Ravens. Though Cure's not going for Ravens, that's too much micro. Cure's going for medevac speed. Oh, anti-armor missile! Hits everything! And hits a lot of Maru. Liberator siege up. He scrambles that... Oh my god, it all died. Everything's dead. Everything died. Maru's army just cleaned house. I don't know exactly what happened under there. There was a lot of anti-armor dust around. But Maru just crushed that fight. A lot... Like, he comes out with a decisive win. Between disabling the tanks and dusting the Marines with that anti-armor missile, Maru just got in there and he gets out with a decisive win. And that's the rich Vespene base. Maru's about to have his double thick Vespene geyser. Actually, it's the same amount of gas, it's just mine twice as quick. And now Cure has to play defensive again. When it looked like we were going to cut the map in half, Maru took... He's like, well, my half includes me getting 70% of the map. That's not how halves work, Maru. I don't care. Who's gonna fight me? You and what army? Well, now Maru's here and Cure is there and the score is 3-1. It's not looking great for Cure. There's more command centers than bases on the map by like a pretty large margin right now. I think both sides have enough command centers to take the map. Right now, Cure has 11 command centers, and Maru has 10 command centers. So Maru... Oh wait, he's building an 11th command center, so he's not slacking too hard. Cure needs this base. Like, otherwise this is just going to be an economic victory. At some point, Maru will be able to just trade inefficiently, or even evenly, I said, which is some of my best commentary to date. Especially with all that gas income. Maru's got the income lead now. Oh, those ranged liberators doing some work here, though. The Ravens not able to turn the tides. They used all their energy earlier. Maru great at keeping his Ravens alive. But they gotta recharge. The tanks on the low ground. Maru gets a great scan. We're the Liberators. Oh my god! Oh no! A massacre! The firing line of tanks! But, while that looked devastating, I said the Marines needed to be traded out. Rarely is it so gruesome. But in that, Cure actually won that battle. He's got the air control. He maintained it. He drove the tanks out, and he's traded the Marines in for air control and more tanks. So despite the butchery that just happened, that was actually a win for Cure. But oh my god. It's both a win for Cure and inspiration for another national holiday for Cure after that. So Maru says Marines though. Marines. Start to finish. Is it enough? The liberation, the Venn diagram of freedom. Liberators versus Marines. Marines versus Marines. Vikings versus medevacs. Tanks versus everyone. Turrets versus Liberators was not the battle I expected to commentate, though. It's unclear. It looked like Maru wanted to just get the jump on a Cure who kind of divested from the Marines, but the reserves came in and filled the gap. Cure has 0 tanks, which seems like not the best number for him right now. The tanks are required. Liberators and tanks. Like, that's biscuits and butter right there. One without the other is pretty good, but also not nearly as good as both together. Ask any SCV near you. You need the ability to push through turrets and delay Marines in order to get the Liberators and tanks moving forward. But here comes Maru with a more mobile unit composition, but the Liberators have reacted. The base in the top right, repair isn't going to last forever. In fact, it's not going to last long at all. The Marines and tanks, Maru is chopping up bases, but at what cost? He's lost more gas, more minerals, not by much. But Cure is building a more mech than bio unit composition. Maru is still building Marines with some Ravens in reserve. Oh, more butchery for both sides. The Marines definitely not. Oh my god. Maru stood his ground against the tanks to target fire the Vikings. He lost a lot of his Marines, but he killed a lot of the Vikings. The reserve force not moving into position. Maru just going to whip around towards the north again. And this is happening. Cure going to move a Liberator to not get outflanked. Maru is trying to deny bases. The way Maru's strategy works is if Cure isn't able to mine from what... There aren't that many bases. Like, there's 1 or 2 more contested. The rest are going to be mined out or essentially obsolete. So, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! He effectively scrambled everything! Maru disabled everything! Half the army has to watch as it's gone down! It's sieged up and knocked down! The planetary! Just undefended! Now that the entire army, it was Ravens all along! It wasn't Liberators, it wasn't tanks, it wasn't Vikings, it was Ravens the whole goddamn time! That was the right answer. You weren't asking the right questions. Maru wins King of Battles here in 2020. As he obviously demonstrates why he is the King of Battles. Every fight that he knows he can win, he takes. Rarely, even when he loses, it sets up a greater victory. As Maru decisively, despite how long that game and series was, decisively wins 4-1 over Cure. His run ends. You never know where it's going to end, but you know it's going to end. Will Cure ever rise to that level to actually take a finals against one of those players? It feels like It feels like he's running 3/4 of a marathon in a lot of tournaments. He'll beat Cyril. He'll beat Raynor. He'll beat TY, who beat him in the finals. And then we get to the finals, and Maru does that. Maru does that. The one game Cure won was using Maru's own strat. The one game Cure won was the game where he had more Ravens. Take that away from this. But a great run from Cure. A better one from Maru. Well, there you go. Is he the best Terran? He's truly the king of battles. Thank you, Team Alpha X, for putting the tournament together. And congratulations to Maru for proving that I guess Terrans can kind of win things sometimes. For you, my Terran friends in the comments and in the chat. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, ring whatever bell suits you. Will Cure ever actually win? Or will we always be the bridesmaid and never the bride? We'll see. Thank you for watching. Good luck and have fun. Check out these videos. Keep forgetting that part. Nobody actually watches this far. They're like, oh, the game ended, and now we'll just tune out. Though they might be asleep. So wake up and click one of these. Thank you for watching.